So first in-house, huh?
First in-house.
You are our first in-house guest, and I think that that's kind of awesome. We had Dylan, we had Christina, we had Mr. Spaduti called us in.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this is unique.
Dylan Grun?
Yeah, the Grundle himself.
Oh yeah, dude. He
Yeah, I
has a
hadn't
kid
seen
now,
him
right?
since we did Zivupa.
Oh yeah. I always forget he's in there.
Yeah, no, because it was like 2 days or something,
Yeah.
right? Like if even that.
Yeah, him and Julia. I don't
Yeah.
even know if I was there those.
I don't know. Yeah.
That might have been like
No, you were
pre
because
or
you were
post.
loading the boxes. Remember, you were.
Oh, that's right.
You were one of the.
Yeah. Oh, that was when I found out that my boots had no tread.
Because that driveway
So-
was like a
Yeah.
sheet of ice.
Yeah, and I was trying to walk up, and there was literally zero tread, and I was sliding, and Tom had brand new boots, and he was just pushing me up the hill. And I was like, oh, all right. I think I need new boots.
Dude, it's every time I watch it too, it's one of my favorite cameos because I'm like, it's Cody.
I forgot I was in that. I showed my wife. We watched it recently because she like knows Sam, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I've never seen it. We got to watch it." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I think it's on something now." And then that happened, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, that's right.
Dude,
I'm
hell
in
yeah.
this."
We are having our guest Cody Walsh on this week on the walk off of the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yes.
Hello.
How's it going, Cody? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, so Cody is a professional lighting artist. He's in the biz, as it were, and you've been riding a crazy wave. It seems like every time I talk to you, you're on another show, you got another thing going. So it's just awesome to watch your success keep kicking off.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, obviously, right now with the strikes,
Yeah.
it's been
a rough
halted,
one.
but yeah, we were lucky enough to just get more and more work in Pittsburgh than we used to get. Because I feel like 5 or 6 years ago, we'd get maybe one movie at a time, and then it'd be maybe like a month or two off until the next one. But now I think it's kind of been pretty much steadily at least one movie always shooting or TV show.
And it seems like since the tax credit's been renewed and been a more reliable thing, that more people have felt comfortable shooting here, which is really awesome.
Yeah, and I think what would really make it really kick off is if we had like an uncapped tax credit or something that was longer than a year. Because if we had a multi-year deal kind of scenario, then the infrastructure would build up better than we have now.
Yeah, be something that people could rely on and trust is going to be there.
Yeah,
next time.
and know that we could build, because we have the Warrendale stage now, we have 31st Street, and we have Three Rivers Studio in Crafton, which is questionably good enough to be
Gets the job done, but it's not ideal.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have the old Westinghouse building that is forever claiming that they're going to be closing it down for movies, but they just keep doing it.
Yeah, and then Haddad's just started their own, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't know enough about that.
Do you remember as you go out on the way down like Mifflin Road towards the waterfront?
Sure.
It's like where that old motorcycle shop for Harley Davidson used to be, and then like they left, and then they bought that building and like the warehouse that's behind it.
Interesting. Okay.
But it doesn't seem like it seems like good for commercials, but maybe not like big stuff.
That seems to be kind of the consensus. I mean, through the people that don't actually know, who haven't been there and stuff like that, we fear that it might be more of a commercial thing.
Yeah.
But, and then there's supposedly something happening at Cary Furnace,
I heard about this too. Yeah.
but we don't really know exactly what's happening there either.
Or even when. Right?
Yeah. That's been kind of in the works for a long time, like many years. They keep talking about this happening, which would also be strange because they're, I think, trying to build like condos or some kind of like work.
Well, the work offices would be awesome because then
Right.
you could have all the office crew just like have a spot not far, which would be awesome.
Yeah. So again, I think this all kind of hinges on them getting a multi-year tax credit incentive so that people be more likely to dump money into the infrastructure to build these kind of things.
Yeah.
We could get like an actual entertainment partners and cast and crew office in Pittsburgh and not fuck up our taxes every year claiming that we all live in California, which is,
I love it.
can't stand it.
Oh man. But yeah, as far as like the actual work itself, you and I have collaborated a number of times, and I feel like every time I get the chance to work with you, I just feel comfortable knowing that the work's going to come out solid because like you and I have that shorthand, we know how to work together, and I think that that's like a really awesome thing to find with people, and it's like
definitely.
getting harder and harder to come by these days.
Yeah, I think especially with the Gaffer and DP relationship, you have to have somebody that you can trust and also have somebody that when you're on like hour 12 or 13, can kind of just look over and you can already read their mind of what it's like, oh, yep, you're already putting the flag up or you're already throwing a hair light in or something. I think.
Or like from the other side of things, if I can just like pivot to like make your life a little bit simpler, like and just kind of cheat it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
It's like just not having to involve the other members of the crew and like kind of cut out the middleman, as it were.
An
Yeah,
hour
definitely.
12 or 13 is like a normal day.
Yeah.
Correct? Like that's,
Yeah.
I want to emphasize that it's like, because I get sometimes like people was like, oh, you've been on like film sets before. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not what you think it is sometimes. And
Yeah.
like, if they'll go to like a casting call, and I always try to tell them, I'm like, you're going to probably be there for a while, just to let you know. So like, make sure that if you're going to stay, we could take up your whole day. And I'm like, well, how long you think? I'm like, plan on at least 12 hours. And they're
Yeah.
like, what? I'm like, yeah.
The reality of it is not always like the glitz and glamour. Sometimes it's like horrible sleep deprivation and like purely caffeine fueled whatever rage.
Yeah, falling asleep on drive homes.
Yeah, I've done a
Drives home.
pullover and take
Yeah.
an hour nap before you go home thing. That's always
Yeah, I try to urge anybody who's into movies but doesn't work in the industry to sign up to do a day or two of extra work. Because
that way you can at least dip the toe.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it really puts it in perspective for you. Like I had my mom work on Out of the Furnace or something. Can't remember what it was, but she was on for 3 days and she was so excited day one. And it was like 3 overnights, I think. And it was at a drive-in or something in Woody Harrelson.
Whoa.
So I can't remember if that was I don't remember what movie it was. This is a while ago. But
Out of the furnace sounds that
yeah,
rings
right?
a bell.
He
That
was
sounds right. Yeah, that sounds
Think-
right.
Yeah. So she's at like I think it was the drive-in that Jared did a Neuronauts.
yeah,
Yeah.
that drive-in was real popular.
Yeah,
for that
so
kind of stuff.
she was like there, and she's just sitting in a car like with some other stranger for like fucking like 9 hours straight, and they're just kind of they'd both never done it before, and she was like, I had a great time with this guy, like we had so much fun, and I was like, that's cool, and then like the last sounds bad, right?
That sounds great.
yeah,
At a drive-in.
Yeah, like,
yeah,
you know.
we all know what's going on.
yeah. Mama Walsh giving out handies, yeah. But like the last 45 minutes or whatever, like was when they actually got any like takes with Woody.
Yeah.
And she was just like blown away about how much time happened leading up until the actual filming. She was like, what the fuck, dude? This is crazy. I was like, yeah, that's completely normal.
Yeah.
And she went the next 2 days and it was just the one scene for the 3 days. And that like blew her mind. And I was like, yeah,
That's the work.
That's what, yep.
yeah, then you can like appreciate it watching a movie more. Or maybe, I don't know.
Or even
I don't
just
know.
like
People give a shit.
commercials and stuff that like, blows for 30 seconds and then it's like, oh, well, that took like 6 days to do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. I was just at a screening for a movie, a local movie, which I will not name.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
After the Q&A, after the screening, there was like a Q&A, and Benedict and I were there with each other watching it. And
Love him.
We were like, man, why? It seems like everybody here is like over 50. It seems bizarre for like a movie screening. I don't know what's going on. This is really weird. And then once the Q&As happened, almost every other question wasn't even a question. It was just, we realized they were all extras of the movie.
Yeah.
And they were just like, let's give a round of applause for the extras. And they're like, yeah. And then like everybody like standing people are standing up and clapping. I'm like, what the fuck? And then there'd be like a question about something and be like, then this older lady is like, yeah, I was in this for 4 days and I didn't even see myself in this. Like, it just goes to show you. And the directors are kind of just sitting there like, fuck. These are not questions or this is not useful advice at all.
Yeah,
It was funny, man. But yeah, it goes to show like a lot of these people probably, they didn't expect, who knows what they were thinking going into it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Man,
Yeah,
that's
it's like you
wild.
need like an equation to say, okay, is there one like 1 minute of film or will equal
Even if there was,
at
I
least 3
guarantee it's
days
not
of
accurate.
shooting time or something? There's
Even-
got to be
yeah.
something. But yeah, it's always like a lot more than you think. Especially if you've never been on a set before.
It's just like a safe rule of thumb. Whatever you think it is, add at least a few hours.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, and I guess it depends on what style of movie you're shooting or how quick cuts are and stuff. Yeah, it's,
I think it's
Nuts.
dependent on like who you have. It's the key is like knowing who you have, how they work, what you're getting yourself into, I think is the trick there.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of some of the short stuff that we've gotten involved in the past where trying to make those kind of judgments where like we've tried to decide like what gear we need because I have a ton and it's like, all right, what am I like, I got to prioritize like what I'm going to need. But if you go in there half cocked and try and just bring everything, you're just going to be in chaos. If you try and not bring the thing that you need, you're screwed. So like,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's such a huge part of like the lighting pre-pro, right? Like figuring out what the DP wants to use. Like, okay, so this is how I view it. Like sometimes you'll get this DP who comes from out of town and they'll have a whole bunch of their stuff.
Yeah.
Or they have a company with somebody or some kind of kickback from someone, and they'll have some brand new light that you've never seen before that is either like cutting edge in like an actual company that you like and want to see, or it's some fucking crazy shit that they made in a basement.
Weird foreign design thing that like does not have a manual in English.
yeah, and it's like not used for movie stuff. It's like used for
DJing or whatever.
Exactly. And they're just like, yeah, check out these are awesome, man. And you're like, they're not.
from an operating room. That
Yeah, right.
Just stole.
It's like at the dentist thing.
Yeah. No, you get this will revolutionize close-ups here.
Yeah.
Man, you stole this.
It's a ring light, man. It's a ring light. Gee, I got this from a.
It's meant to be mounted to a desk. What is this? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got this from an auction from a Soviet fucking lab. Yeah. That's what it feels like sometimes. You'll get these crazy things that these people make. And then a lot of those times they insist on using those.
Yeah.
Like the special things that they have.
because they're trying to go after some effect or something that they got in their mind.
Or it's just like if they brought it and it's there, they want to justify having bought this stupid thing. Or a cool thing, whatever. Yeah.
I've been there myself, so I kind of get that.
Oh, I've been on both sides of this for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And that's like always an interesting, and sometimes that's cool because then you discover like a new tool that's really fun and useful. Other times it's just like a waste.
Yeah.
But then like I just did something with this DP I'd never worked with before. And we went through kind of his wish list of stuff that he wanted. And then he was really cool because he said, well, and if you think we can achieve what we're trying to do with different tools, then I don't care what we use, just like use your discretion. I was like, now that's the kind of relationship you want, like where they trust that you can do the job. They're not going to force you to use specific instruments.
Yeah.
That is, I think, like signs of somebody who,
Well, I think that's the key too in just like a lot of different positions is like trusting the people you hire on to know what they're doing. Like if I like come up to you and I want to hire you as a gaffer, it's like I want to bring you in because I know I can trust you and not have to micromanage you. It's like I want you there to cover that end of things so that way I don't have to out about it. And it's like it's happened so often I feel that like people hire you on because they want to feel smarter than you.
yeah, for sure.
And it's frustrating.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot more in like commercial world that happened. Where, and I do kind of get it because from that standpoint, if they just hired some local person because they had to hire local, they might just go, okay, who knows if this kid knows anything.
They don't know you. It's like feeling it out. It's like, do I trust this dude? Like,
yeah. And then sometimes it's just like, you're literally just there relaying fucking commands from this person.
Yeah.
Where like, which sometimes is nice because you can kind of just phone it in.
Yeah.
One of those jobs where it's just like, hey, so we're just lighting this, whatever. And then you're just kind of going, cool. And then you turn and you repeat that to your guys. And then you just go and do this. And it's like, okay, well, didn't really have to think today.
Yeah.
Those are the days like where it's more
just grab a Red Bull and cozy up.
Yeah, right. And then there's the other ones where you'll have someone else be like, yeah, so here's not even here's the frame. They'll just be like, yeah, so we're just kind of shooting over here. And so what do you think? And you're like, can I see a frame?
Can I see what we're seeing? Like,
what's your lens? And they're like, we don't know
it's
yet.
It's gonna change. It's variable.
Yeah, hard to say, bud. And you're like, fuck, okay. So, like, what kind of mood are you going for? That's like what we were saying before of having a relationship where you can trust each other, or like if you know what the person likes, like their lighting style.
I also think that comes down to, like you said before, pre-pro. It's like pre-pro is God when it comes to this stuff. The more you can know up front and get in there, get it and get out, the better off you are. It's like that's why location scouting is so important. That's why, and I think that's the thing that like, especially in the indie front, like a lot of people overlook. I can't tell you how many times I've been involved in projects that have no pre-pro at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like it makes the DP gaffer relationship, the sound relationship, makes all those things that much harder when you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, like I would even, I hesitate to say it because I think we should always have scouts and prep days, but I know personally, I sometimes feel like I would rather have, if it was between the two, I'd rather have a scout day.
Yeah.
To see all of the stuff so you can have a plan going into it rather than just come in on the first day and then be like, yeah, so here's where we're shooting. And you're like, there's one outlet in this whole floor, right?
And it's also like,
how are you going to do this?
That's the other thing. How many times have I seen you like go through and like check wattage? It's like, you got to know what you're getting yourself into. Like the gear you're going to be running, can you operate it from a location? Or are you going to have to bring outside power? Are you going to have to get this or that? Like it's 1,000 million elements to all of it. Oh, dude, yeah. Like we just did the thing with the DP who is really respectful of us. He had I don't think he scouted until like a day before the first day of shooting. And so we came in for a very short prep day.
And it was the first time we got to see it. And so he's kind of running us through everything. And it's like, yeah, so we really want some sodium vapor look through this back bedroom window. And we look, and it's like we're shooting in Dormont. So it's the crazy hillside houses.
Oh, yeah.
Where the front door is on one street and the back door is like
4 stories down.
Yeah, dude, legit. The basement was 2 stories up.
Oh my God.
From the one street. So then they wanted to shoot on the second floor.
Doubling up combo riser.
It's like 40 feet, right? So he's like, yeah, is there any way? And we're like, no, dude. like this would be hard even with like a 60-foot condor. Like you wouldn't really be able to hit this here.
You can't even get a condor in there with how narrow those
Yeah, it's like also it was like they didn't have a budget for a condor. So we're like, yeah, this ain't really happening, bud. So and like a lot of the action happened in this room. So it's like, damn, if we had scouted this sooner, or maybe even getting like G&E and camera involved in the initial like picking of some of these locations, which isn't really normal, but yeah, it saves you so much on the back end.
Yeah,
because then you're just fighting a location that you're not supposed to be at. Really rough.
Yeah, like, and then on the day when you're trying to figure all that out, it's like you're just losing time, which costs the whole production like an insane amount the more longer you go. And then everybody's looking to try and blame, and it gets ugly.
Yeah.
Do you run into that more often? Like going into a location and like for the first time, it's like, okay, here's the frame. Here's what we want to shoot. Can we do it?
Only on like indies.
Okay.
I mean, that never happens on like any of the unions. Well, I don't want to say never, because sometimes like
never say never.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, oh, we just added this spot. No one's seen anything. And then that's crazy. It's crazier on a larger scale like that because you have like hundreds of people.
A lot more gears and wheels turning.
Who are totally getting screwed. And it's like, what? Which is always so funny to me because like as a department head / like assistant department head, it's so funny when you'll talk to some other department heads about something. Like it'll be like, because we talk pretty closely with the rigging grips and the grips and everything. We'll both be like talking about what we think is happening the next day. And then we'll have someone from, I don't know, wardrobe or something walk by the hall and they'll be like, wait, do you still think we're shooting at this tomorrow? And we're like, what do you know? And they're like, you should check this email. And we're like, what email? And then, well, look, we don't have emails. And they're like, oh, well, we have this. And then I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to go find somebody in set deck and see if they dress that house. Like, what's going on? And then go over and they're just like, oh, yeah, fuck, you didn't hear about this? So it's like,
clearly I didn't show on the phone.
And it's crazy because like that'll happen on shows that are like 50 to $80 million or something. And you're just like, how can we not get every department head on board with what's happening?
Insane oversight.
It's crazy. So yeah, I don't want to say that that never happened. It definitely does. But no, I think like on the bigger things, they're scouting enough that with the right people that you go into it and you have a general understanding that it can be done. Even if you're worried about how to do it. Like there are times we'll go on a scout and they're like, yeah, so we're definitely shooting here. Mm-hmm. Like I'll look and I'll raise concerns about something and they're like, okay, but we can still do it. You're like, you don't want to say no.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a very just hard no. So you're like, yeah, well, yeah. And then you spend the whole like drive home and you're just like, oh man, like how are we going to do it? And then 9 times out of 10 you do it and it's fine. And that you just hope that it's always one of those 9 times.
Yeah.
A lot rides on a hope and a prayer in some
real.
instances.
So let's pretend for a moment that I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Which is not true.
Which is very true. Let's say I've never gone to film school or no production or no lighting specifically. Take me through like a normal day or like what you're looking at when you're going into a project. Like, so for like when you mentioned like Condor before, even I was like, I think I know what they're talking about, but I don't know. When you said Condors, are we talking about?
I guarantee you've seen them. Like,
have I seen them before?
They're on 4 wheels and they're kind of like a basket with an arm and you just drive it. Yeah.
Whenever you see people like downtown like cleaning windows, high
okay,
rises.
so that's okay.
And you can put flags and silks and stuff on them just to get them higher than you could like rigging like off the ground level.
Okay. Yeah, like we'll put big ass lights on those and to simulate like sunlight
or diffuse when you're in a high-rise building or something like that. It could be any number of things, but you can get where you can't get otherwise.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they're for a situation like what I was talking about before. That would be you'd have it up to make it high to simulate a street light or something. Mm-hmm. Like so, you have like 45-foot ones, you have 60-foot, you have 80-foot, you have 125-foot. There's also like 180s, which we don't use a lot, but those are very sick to be in. we got to like
very big power.
Go in one of those when we were shooting a carry furnace. The one day we had one and my boss was like we had like a short day. I think we were like came on a Saturday to wrap something out. He's like, anybody want to go top stick in this? And we're like, hell yeah, we do. And like you get up there and you're just like, holy shit, like you're not supposed to be this high.
Humans weren't meant to do this.
Yeah, dude, it's nutty. But yeah, so I guess to answer your question, it kind of depends because on the big like union stuff, I work on rigging crew.
Yeah.
Most of the time. So like I do both, but primarily I'll do rigging crew. And so like how that looks is we go in a day or maybe two before, or sometimes even the day of, like the morning before they come to a location. And we go to supply the power for all of set. So we'll land a generator or two or three, depending on how big the set is. We'll run the power to a whole bunch of different like distro boxes on set, whether that be for a light that we're going to use to light the scene, whether that's for power for producers to charge their phones, whether that's for hair and makeup.
It's stuff you don't think of though. Like just, you got to charge your phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love the memes with that. It's always like, oh, camera's like just got a USB plugged into the battery.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the worst. Yeah. I mean, a quick sidebar. Sometimes when we shoot at a place where we're using both the house power and our supply generator power, we have to bond our power to theirs so that if there's a ground fault or anything, if you're touching something, you don't get shocked between the two.
Interesting.
And and so usually you use like this little like connector thing and it goes on to just the grounding cable outside or into the panel. But we were shooting in what's the fucking mall where MacBid is? They had the movie theater. Shit. Some mall that's not really open anymore. Not Century 3.
I think I know what you're talking about. Pittsburgh Mills?
Yes, Pittsburgh Mills.
Damn it.
God damn.
I was 1 second away, Brian, from getting
I heard it. Anyway, long story short, we couldn't use our normal connector. So what you do is you take like a stinger or an extension cord.
Ooh.
And you rip off the hot and the neutral and you just have the ground on both ends. And then you plug it into the wall and then you plug it into our distro box. And then you ground it. But you tape this the fuck up because if it
touches anything,
if it's not in there, it's sketchy as fuck.
Yeah.
And not like we try to never do that. Yeah. But I like all this tape, like giant tail, like 2 feet of tape. And it's like, do not unplug, you'll die. And like a little cartoon guy shocked. And of
just a picture of Marv from
But of course, what happens, we come in to help the first unit in, and this is like already unplugged and just like chilling on the floor. And it's like, can people not read? So and it's probably somebody being like, I gotta plug my phone, and they're just like, what the fuck? Like don't know how to put it in.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, dude. So that was a huge sidebar. But
cell phones can be a safety hazard. PSA.
Yeah, believe it or not. So like we'll run the power for everybody, and then if we're gonna have condors like the lifts and stuff, we'll set those up. We'll put the lights on and everything. We'll have those like ready to go so that whenever they come in to shoot that day, all they have to do is flip the ballast and turn the lights on. Yeah, ready to go, and then they can like reposition them and stuff. Or we spend a lot of time putting stuff in ceilings, whether it be like overhead lights or some kind of LED stuff. And then if we're not doing a location day, we're just doing a bunch of stuff on the stage, which is hanging sometimes like 200 lights around set, building, but multiple bars, right? We'll have a bar that goes like the main thing, and then we'll have beneath that. And then what we've been doing recently is for the overhead lighting inside of sets, we'll have a whole bunch of light mats, like light mat 4s.
Yeah, those things are awesome.
Yeah, they're nice and flat. And then so we'll put those on pulley systems so that you can pull them out and drop them in.
Yeah, kind of set it where you get it.
Yeah, like the movie that we just wrapped for the strike.
Was
the Lee Daniels movie?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Demon House or The Deliverance or whatever the hell it's called now. Yeah.
Changed 5,000 times.
Maybe it'll change again. Yeah. But yeah, each one of those sets had probably like 15 light mat 4s that we had on those, and you could drop them in, which was a really cool system because then you can drop them in.
Yeah.
To basically right here. You can just mess with them, put like diffusion on or whatever. Yeah. Sometimes you'll do that with motors, depending on the budget. Big Marvel stuff, everything's on motors.
Yeah, I was going to say they pretty much just are automated at that point.
Yeah, which is sick. Yeah. So we'll do that, and then we'll change out any of the practicals. We're wiring all kinds of goofy shit. And then we're also like putting so many of the LED stuff now is controlled wirelessly.
Ooh.
So we're running all of that kind of stuff. We're running like Ethernet, running DMX. We're doing all that shit so that the board op can control that. So yeah, that's kind of like what a day is like for rigging electric. For electric, the on-set guys, I mean, they'll come in, the trucks are all there, they're dumping out their trucks for the day, tweaking some lights, trying to just get the general vibe going, and then like one or two people will be directly on set. They run in, they're kind of the people who are handling what's right by the actors, and then just kind of.
It gives me so much respect too for like I know it's a separate union, but the guys who do like the stage shows for like over at Actors and everything that comes in town, it's kind of like the same animal in some ways. I know each artist like brings in a lot of their own gear, has their own setup that they do, so it's a bit of a different animal, but it's like a lot of knowledge crossover, which is kind of cool.
Oh, absolutely. Especially for like rigging, like with us, a lot of the stuff that we do is pretty easily transferred to that world. And like a lot of the board ops on movie stuff are like live event guys.
That's I mean that's smart because like they know what they're doing with all that. So
and it's crazy. Just like the more we're coming to rely on LED stuff, the more technical things are getting.
Yeah,
with all of this wireless control of lights and shit. And when I first got into the union, like because we come from film school, where we're not doing anything on these large scales.
Right? Like it's all 8-man crews, like
or even like indies and stuff. Like it's you're doing such smaller scale stuff. And I did that for a couple years before I did anything union. So I thought like I knew everything, right? Yeah. And I was like, man, I'm fucking good at this. and so then I go on like my first day of like rigging electric, and I'm just like, shit. I'm like, I know what's up. And they're just like, hey, grab this 4-aught cable. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? They're just like, like who hired this guy? And I'm like, fuck, dude. Just because I didn't even know what rigging crew did. I just knew that this guy that I had worked with, he was like, yeah, I do this, and I can try to get you into the union. So I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I probably would have been so much better off like going on set, just because I knew how all that shit worked. I'd done that for like 4 or 5 years. And they're just like, yeah, pick up this piece of cable that weighs 112 pounds. And I'm like, what? There's like all these different sizes. And I'm like, fuck, this is crazy. So then like that shows you a whole other side of this industry that they don't teach us at all in school. You don't see on indie.
Well, I talked to Hugh, you and I talked to Hugh back in the day quite a bit, but I always said like he should be like, and somebody should be running like Rip and Electric segment of that school. Cause like,
absolutely.
It's that. And I think music are like the two biggest things lacking there is like they need programs for that stuff because eventually it comes to the point where like people need that stuff. It's like these aren't just like simple like little 2 or 3 man crews. It's like this stuff can get out of hand really quickly. I think of how many student productions that we were on that like didn't account for wattage and stuff. And they're running like multiple HMIs.
Oh yeah, dude.
Getting like crazy hazardous for some of these situations. And I'm like, man, they should be teaching that.
And I like thought about that before because I'm like, man, they didn't teach us anything about electricity. And then I like look back and I'm like, they totally did. None of us just gave a fuck. Because we're like, that's not cool. Like, I want to talk about Fellini. Like,
don't.
Well, no, like they did. It was taught, but it was like I feel like there should have been a dedicated program.
Yeah, it was backburnered for sure. Yeah,
it was always attached to cinematography or like in some cases post for certain things. But it was like I really felt like there should have been like a dedicated program just for how to.
Well, there is.
That's getting into like trade school.
But
stuff,
yeah, it's still just like the science behind it and just knowing like the practicality of knowing, like you just said, I don't want to have an explosion or trip something.
Like it's
you got to know like a little bit of math and what's going on here.
Yeah,
like I mean, what's the one thing? Ohms or something? Is that that's a thing, right?
It is a thing.
I think that's a correct thing. I don't know if that's relevant to our discussion.
Yeah, it's not as relevant of the other parts of electricity. Yeah, that or I think about how we had a 6x frame at SPS, which is crazy to me.
Nobody ever used it because nobody could get it going.
Right. I remember getting it out because I had like seen them on commercials. I was like, do we have like 8x? And they're like, no, we have the 6x.
I actually think I remember you guys doing that.
Yeah, it was for Jared Passant Sam Mosco's.
I worked that's why, because I worked on that.
Yeah, it was like on Joe Hammer Square.
Yeah.
And it was this super ambitious.
Joe Hammer Square.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Joe Hammer Slammer.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Was there a real Joe Hammer? Was it named after a real guy?
I have no idea.
No idea. Think of how legendary that dude was.
But I remember being there plenty of times.
He's like, I got my own street, and it's like 8 decrepit, or I guess like 8.
I just picture like a Paul Bunyan looking dude, like walks in with a sledgehammer. Joe Hammer.
It's like, yeah, like all I know is for sure there's one house of a bunch of baseball guys who are probably assaulting people, and then like a whole bunch of shitty fucking punk cinema kids,
Just like across the street,
Maybe
like
also, I don't
standing
know.
off like Footloose.
yeah, right. It felt like that, dude. Like
It did. Oh my god.
you'd be on that porch like smoking cigs, and there's people be over there just like having their keggers.
I remember the night there was like a crazy night. I know that and like I won't put their names in this, but
no, do it. Put it.
for like doing this like epic standoff. Like, you want to fucking say something, buddy? And then, like it was just like it was turning into Footloose.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
across the street. It was insane.
It was Joe Hammer, man. I hope he drives by and just like, yeah, my legacy.
on his blue ox, he just comes
Yeah.
walking.
Fuck.
Oh my god.
The point being, there was a super ambitious like oneer that would have like we had to nix it because of like very technical reasons.
Yeah.
But it was like all these crazy fucking this idea, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we got to get like this 8x frame or 6x frame here. And like I had never, they didn't teach us how to use those, right? So I'm like, put it as high as it can go.
Exactly.
And it like didn't fall over, surprisingly. But
yeah.
they don't teach us anything about how to tie that shit down. Like I'd like to think that now SPS like has better gear and teaches people how to do that stuff a little bit better.
I'd actually be kind of interested to see how they're doing things now.
Yeah. Do you think they still have KW2s? Like, dude, I've never seen those on another set in my life.
Were you on my P4 at all?
Which was
I got every single KW2 that SPS had out,
Sick.
and I rigged an entire green screen set in the gym.
oh, I heard about this. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I didn't work on this.
Scott Lindsay was on it. Dave Light was on it. Who else was on it? A bunch of people floated in and out. But I thought I was gonna like lose my mind because like the pure like just mechanics of rigging that much at the time like blew my head off. 'Cause
Totally. Yeah.
it's like just accounting for the wattage and like the location and stuff. I'm like, there's so much shit. Something's gonna explode.
Yeah. Something's going to catch on fire.
Yeah, but it was like it went off without a hitch, and you know, like even how I rigged it, I had like sandbag to the floor. It was like the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, it's so funny because you come out of school thinking like, oh, dude, I know shit.
You don't-
like,
you
I'm
don't know
fucking so
dick.
good.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like arguably it's better that they sometimes get these permits who like don't even know, they've never been on set, because then
Yeah.
they don't have any attitude towards anything. They can just come in and be a blank slate.
Yeah,
Versus like sometimes people who come from college from it are just like, oh shit, like wait, what do you mean this is wrong? Like I just spent 4 years doing this totally incorrectly.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like I think that's why it's like that harsh trial by fire. Jump into it and just figure it out. Like is kind of the best way to do it, because it's like even coming out of school and like having a certain knowledge base, it's like you're not going to learn it any other way than just doing it.
Yeah, and it's really cool now because I don't know who this is set up through, but our union just did like a class for the grips and the electrics. It was like you sign up for this class. I don't know if it cost money. I'm sure it had to have.
Yeah.
Or if it was grant based. I don't know exactly how it worked. But they had like 12 or 15 kids for both departments, and they came in and they had people from our union like teaching them stuff. With the end goal being, when you finish this class, if you get called to work on a movie, like you'll know generally what's going on. Like you
Yeah.
can come in and we can be like, hey, grab this so-and-so thing. And you won't just be like, deer in the headlights,
Yeah,
which is cool. That's super sick.
yeah. Just give you a jump start at least, so you know where to start.
Yeah. And I think that's like really awesome that they're doing that, because like you can kind of, I don't want to say that gripping electric is like more difficult in any way, or I don't know. Like,
I would say that it is.
It just seems like those
I will say that.
those are like really highly specified like skills. I mean, so is like makeup and shit. I don't know. I don't.
Well, I mean, they are, but it's like there's a certain technical knowledge, and I think a certain hazard set that goes with those
Right.
professions that
Yeah.
I think can't be put in the wrong hands. Like,
True. Yeah. Yeah. It's especially like with like a lot of live power and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think that that's really cool. And I don't know if that exists for camera. It would be cool if they had these things just so instead of like this really accepted thing that is when you have a permit lister like come in on set and you're just like, oh, these fucking kids, they don't fucking know anything. And it's like I always be like, and I always try to be like, yo, you like super specific people too.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, hey, I remember when you started this job 4 years ago and you didn't know shit.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
shut the fuck up. Like people felt that way about you, and now you're being mean. And maybe that's like a compensation thing of being like, we don't need to get psychological here, but it's just
We
like,
can. I'm all for it.
We can.
it's like, oh man, I don't know. That shit pisses me off because what's the point if you're all on the same team to make the movie in the first place? Like every department should try to like
Work towards the same goal.
Yeah.
we're on the same team.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hewitt, he always says we play make believe for a living. Like, why are we so fucking serious?
Yeah. No,
I've
yes.
always loved that. Yeah.
And then even within your own department, it's like, why are you getting mad? Unless these new kids are just refusing to listen to you and are just being total fuck off. Like, I don't know. Like, what's the point of like hazing these kids? And that's not even hazing, because hazing implies that there's something to, once you finish this, you're going to get this great acceptance or something.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Like, why? So I think it's cool that we're doing these programs to try to teach people stuff so that they're equipped with the knowledge to come in, succeed.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, it's interesting. And I think that's an ever shifting landscape that's becoming more and more interesting.
Yeah. It's weird, man. And what I did like about that program too is they were trying to like get more diversity, especially because like our like Grip and Electric can be very just
one-sided.
yeah, not much diversity there.
Yeah.
and then even when there like is like dudes are just going to be creepy and shitty, and it's like, come on, like,
Yeah, it kinda-
be better than this.
There's a lot of memes to that end too.
Yeah, for a good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I've seen firsthand the acquiring of call sheets and using of said call sheets for phone numbers.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh man, not to talk about a meme on a podcast, but my favorite is
Dude, we talk
Please
memes.
do.
every week.
That's pretty much what we do.
We talk memes every week.
dude the one where it's like screenshot of the text,
Yeah.
right? And it's, hey, is this so and so? Is this so and so from whatever department? And it's like, oh yeah, like didn't think. I'm butchering this, but it's like, I was like, oh wow, like took my name from the call sheet, like damn, shoot your shot, I guess. And it's like, no, this is so and so from HR. We have video footage of you stealing like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gear. And it's like just trails off, and I'm like, holy shit, like perfect meme, dude, perfect meme.
Pitch perfect.
Because you should steal everything you can from set, no matter what.
Oh, damn, dude.
You know, I've been out of work for 9 months because I have no batteries, I have no Sharpies, I have no tape.
Yeah.
I'm like, this sucks, dude.
Dude, the gaff tape stealing legend. Like, I love it. I love it every time I see it. Like, everybody's like, it's always like one dude, like, where's my fucking roll of gaff tape? Like,
yeah, dude.
There's like just one dude
as you begin to pocket it yourself,
Yeah,
and
and
you're
it's
just,
just
Yeah,
in the bag.
especially like small core gaff tape,
Yeah.
man, that's gold.
Or psych tape, like that glowy psych tape. That stuff's hard to come by these days.
Dude, there's a day. So on rigging crew, usually like whenever we like end TV shows, it's usually a week to a month of stage days.
Yeah.
Because it's just like you need less people. It's easier to end. And on that last movie that we did, the gaffer was like, hey, I would really appreciate if the rigging guys were just like here. Everything is pretty much like done.
Yeah.
So and we did 2 movies in a row with with that gaffer and the same out of town rigging gaffer, who's the coolest dude ever. And so he'd be like, hey, like I know it sucks, but like we gotta stay here. Like we can't like leave early. We just gotta stay here for 12 hours, like on the stage. And so we're like, okay, but we got like nothing to do, right? So it's like, okay, like it is. We understand that we're not doing anything, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, everybody knows. It's like, okay, cool. So then it's just like 2 or 3 weeks of just total screwing off. And like we have like a tiny little lockup, like we have like our regular lockup where actual things go down. And then we have like a separate one across the hall that like we had blocked out the window for. And we're just like doing all kinds of experiments in there,
Yeah.
right? So like the first, not the last show, but the one before that, I had bought like $500 worth of fucking Hot Wheels tracks.
Hell yeah.
And so we
dude.
were we had like the whole room rigged up, and we're just like it was.
oh my gosh.
It was so sick.
Fuck yeah,
I got a
dude.
good video, but like, and it took like days for this to get it all the way around. And we had the Teamsters coming in. They're just like, what the? Like our Teamster's like, he's calling up. He's like, you gotta come to Rig and Electric lock up. This is some crazy shit. And we're like, oh man,
Dude, that'd be worth it just to hear what they're saying out of the walkie.
oh, it was so great. And like our boss, I was like, I don't know if he's like super down. Like he knows we're goofing in this room.
Yeah.
And so at one point he like like the door opened up like this, and this is where the start of the car went, and I was like super excited. And we had it kind of like hidden away, and so the door opens up, and I'm like about to do the car, and he like comes in, and everybody's like stops like what they're doing, and they're just
And then you're just there with the
and I'm there, but this door's like blocking me, so I'm like, like up on this apple box, just like, and he's looking around, he's like, where's Cody? And everyone's like, oh, he's like, huh? And he like turns around to close the door. I'm just like, yo, what's up, Joe? He's like, what the fuck?
That's incredible.
It's like this awesome Chicago dude. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, check it out. I mean, like, dude, he's like, and then he like got bummed. He's like, he would get so upset at this. He's like, could you do something more productive? Meanwhile, this guy's playing solitaire on an iPad. I'm like,
Goes currently up while he's arguing.
yeah, I'm like, dog, this is so much more creative and like stimulating for the brain. That was a giant tangent to the point of the batteries, right? We were so bored the one day. I was telling people about how you light cigarettes in jail, like with paper clips and shit with an outlet. And so then we just like, we had like a variable DC power supply, and we wanted to just start lighting graphite on fire because I was like, oh yeah, you take like the paper clips and then you take the graphite in between, and then it goes. So I wanted to prove this. So I had to go to the first unit guys who were like also just kind of chilling. I'm like, yo, dudes, we need some D-bad real bad. Oh shit. Okay. Is this like important? We're like, yeah, dude, this is for the LEDs. And they're like, oh fuck. So they're like looking through their cart, and then like it kind of like this is like a downtime, like the lights were set, they're just kind of waiting for the director to do his thing, and so they're like, oh fuck man, I think we got some on the truck. So it's turning this whole thing like, what do you need for them? Like the LEDs. And so my boss is like, hey, what do we need these D batteries for? I'm like, don't worry, like it's a project on our own, like it's fine.
Just total deflection.
Yeah, now like everybody's concerned about like why do we need these batteries, and then we got them. We're like, fucking cool. So like we go in and we just like put them all. We're just like just trying to light this piece of graphite on fire, and we're like catching this pencil on fire in the lockup as our boss kind of comes in. He's just like, what are you guys doing? And it's like, man, we made it, dude. Only our professors could see us now.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my gosh,
dude, it's so great.
So yeah, I think that answers your question of things that happen in a general day.
Yeah, I think so.
On union sets.
Yeah. Dude, I so many commercials I day played on and stuff, and like back when David was still in town, and like just hanging out in the grip truck, like hammocks from one side of the racks to the others, and like
that's the
dude, those were the days.
Dude, yeah, especially that David. Speaking of that, we got the hammocks really, really honed in when we did the Cardinal Matter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because where the G&E dudes were staying, we were about like 45-minute drive from base camp every day.
Yeah.
And we had a Penske truck that we drive up, and the G&E, it was like me and 3 other guys, and we had two hammocks that we had set up in the back for like when we were just like chilling. And I was like, yo, how we can get extra sleep? Put the hammocks up in the back, and you can sleep in them in the back of the truck while I'm driving the base camp. So we do, it was like me, Randy Smith, Ben Boyle, and David. And so it would just like swap out every day. I was like the only one who drove the truck because I didn't trust any of those guys to drive a truck at all. So I'd be like, it's cool, you guys sleep. And so we'd just be driving up. But then from the floor, or from like the road to where the base camp was probably like 1,000 feet of like a whole bunch of switchbacks. So like the first day that we do that, I'm pretty sure, it was like the first day. I think it was Ben and David in the back, or Ben and Randy, I can't remember. But as we're like doing the switchbacks, like because we'd only laid in the hammocks while they were just like side by side, or while we were just like stationary, they're like right really close. But as we're going up, they're like banging into each other,
clipping buns, dude.
They're like, oh fuck. And it's like you have this tiny little partition that I can just hear like, shit.
Everybody's black and blue as hell.
And they're like, whoa, we need to spread those out. But then I ended up I had to fly home for a court date, so I didn't drive back because we drove it from Pittsburgh to Wyoming. Yeah, it was like a 32-hour drive. They drove back, and they were like, "Oh, well, we can just do this all in one shot." If we drive on the highway with 2 people in the front and 2 people just sleeping in the hammocks. So they just drove back from Wyoming doing that.
That's incredible.
Insane.
Yeah, damn, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, I mean, no day of film working it's not the same unless you're eating your lunch on the back of a lift gate on a truck.
Nor should it. Like, like there's some of the best stuff happens there. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like once everything's set, you have everything where it needs to be. There's just shooting, and then it's just like the in between time. That's where the magic happens.
Absolutely, yeah. And then like on these shows, like if you're doing like 12-hour minimum days, you're working at least 60 hours a week with these people, and it's always running around for 45 minutes straight, like doing the setup, maybe like an hour and a half of doing a setup, and then it's like an hour of just sitting there bullshitting with people. And it's like a little different now because like cell phones are so ubiquitous that you'll generally have like 10 minutes of talking, and then like you'll fuck around on your phone for half an hour, and then people will be like pacing around and be like, then you start talking again. But I miss like 4 or 5 years ago where it was just you sitting there just playing silly ass games with everybody.
Yeah, like the bonds got tight. Like
yeah,
that's
dude.
what I
Like
miss too.
we did in like 2019 or before COVID, we had done 2 back-to-back shows where we would do like 35 days with no days off on rigging crew, and it was
That's a lot.
We're talking like 14, 15-hour days, like crazy shit.
Stringing just straight insomnia for months on it.
Dude, it's chaos, man. And like at that on Sweet Girl, the Momoa thing, I actually fell asleep while I was driving between locations and just slammed into a car in front of me. I was like, fuck. And I was like, I had like, yeah, dude. And like,
Shit.
Luckily, I think the dude I hit was like, didn't have a insurance or something. I don't know. Cause I was like trying to get his info.
Luckily.
Yeah. I was, maybe this is a crime. I don't know. But, I got his info and he was just like, oh yeah. And I was like, yeah, cause I had a giant, I had my Sprinter at the time and I did no damage to me and it kind of like fucked his car up. And I'm like, yo, here's my info, here's all my shit. He's like, yeah, thanks, man. And he's like, drove away, and I'm like, that's crazy. And then like, I get to the next location, which was at like WQED, and there's like this giant, there's like all the stuff from Mr. Rogers there, and there's like a big bird or something.
Yeah,
it's like a big statue, and so I get there. And the DP was coming in to see the pre-light for what we were doing in there. And my boss was like, hey, and I was like, I need to tell you something. I slammed into a car on the way here because I fell asleep. He's like, I haven't had days off in like a month and a half. He's like, oh shit, are you okay? I'm like, I think, yeah. And he's like, okay, well, we're gonna need someone to stay overtime for when the DP comes so we can do this. I'm like, and our best boy was like, no. He just told you he wrecked his car. He's going home. He's not staying. I was like, oh, damn. But at that
dude, it's
time,
awesome that you had somebody in your back pocket looking out for you.
Yeah. And like, even then my boss was, and I adore that boss. He had so many things going on that he just wasn't even thinking. He was like, oh my God, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm like, I mean, it's overtime, dude. And my best boy was like, just shut the fuck up. Don't. He's like, you live right across the street. Just please go home after 12. I'm like, all right. But point of that being like, on that show, I was spending more time with my coworkers than like anybody in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cause you're spending like it's like 90-hour weeks and shit.
Yeah, it's practically living with people.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm so fortunate that like I work with a lot of my very close friends, college and outside of that. So like it makes it a lot easier. I can't imagine what that'd be like if you're working with people that you hate. It would suck.
Yeah. Oof, brutal.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a really weird industry.
Well, yes, I think that's why like we all get into it is because honestly, for each other, it's like you want to make a shot look good because you want to see like your close colleagues like be all as a team effort. Be like, yeah, that fucking nailed it, got it.
Yes.
And it's like, I think that stuff is definitely what kept me going. I know in at least some instances is what kept you going. Like,
oh yeah.
It's like you just want to keep everybody happy and get the work done right.
Yeah, it's weird because my wife always jokes that I have like an unhealthy, like toxic relationship with the job, which like we totally do. It's crazy.
It's just the nature of it.
Yeah, and I think it's a little different because like we all went to college, like at least most of our group of friends, right?
Yeah.
We liked making movies or we liked seeing movies when we were kids, continued to do that through our adolescence, like went to college for it. And then we commodified our passion into a job. And so like, it's hard because our job is also like our identity of our hobby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So other people who have like a job that they just fucking hate, it's like, okay, yeah, you can pretty easily look at that and say, well, that's stupid, just like quit that or change things in your life to stop that. But it's like, since we don't have the power to really change the fact that we're working 60-hour weeks minimum,
yeah,
and we just love what we do, like that little bit kind of hits you back of your head of like, wow, this fucking sucks. Like, oh, this is like so bad and stuff. But then you look at some shot and you're like, wow, that looks sweet though.
Yeah.
That looks really cool. That's sweet.
Sometimes it's like minuscule, but it's like when you do see that magic happen, it does pay off.
Yeah, or like the rare time that a movie that you work on is actually good. And I mean that strictly, well
no, like
in a lot of sense,
I totally get what you mean. It's like the ratio of like the anguish to quality is not always great. It's not necessarily that something wasn't good, maybe just not as good as like hard, straight 60-hour pain and anguish from our front end.
And it's better. I like that we're not really doing as many of the Rust Belt fucking cop dramas that we did for like 3 years in a row in Pittsburgh. Or it's like, I don't want to watch this shit. No one watches this shit. There's a reason it gets canceled after the first season.
Yeah.
So it's like you do that and you're just like busting your ass. And then like it's for
It
nothing.
goes nowhere.
It's for
Yeah.
fucking nothing. Yeah. The few times you get to like work on something and it comes out and you're like, damn, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Like that is great.
And that's one of the reasons you keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, because there's that one chance that it's like, yep, you get that really good experience.
Yeah.
Living on a hope and a prayer, as it were.
Yeah. Then there's the inverse of that, like when we did Mindhunter, which
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I've heard so many horror stories.
dude, yeah, there could be a
Pretty
whole
much
episode
ruined his life.
it ruined a lot of people's lives, man.
I know it ruined his life. Like,
It was terrible. Yeah, but like I was living in New York at the time and I came back for like a week, or I came back for like a couple days to do something. And my old boss was like, hey, like, come, can you work the whole week? And I was like, yeah, I guess. Like, New York is expensive. I'll do this week. And like, also, I was like, David Fincher, hell yeah.
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 So it was like this, it was what ended up being the opening scene of the show, like in Braddock. And it was a week long setup because like they're like, we're doing this crazy fucking drone shot. We're going to see all of everything. So it took a week to rig that fucking one scene. And it was absolutely crazy, dude. We had like 12, 18Ks. We had like so many generators.
Damn.
Half of Braddock was rigged. It was completely insane. And it was like really stressful because I'm like, oh, I don't live here anymore. I'm just coming in to like help out, throw some cable. And my
Yeah.
boss like hands me a map and was like, so you're in charge of like the south side of this. And I was like, what? I'm like, dude, what the hell? And it was like all brand new people, like all these kids who
Yeah.
never worked on movies. It was like so stressful for me. And I'll leave out all the nonsense. Although two dudes had to carry an 18K up like a 10-story building because they didn't have an elevator, it was abandoned. They had to get
Hell
it up
no.
there. Yeah, super fucked up shit.
2 people on it alone is bad enough. You throw the high rise like on
Yeah,
top of it.
like completely insane. So then they start to shoot like on a Friday night or something, and there were like some issues, and it was like raining really bad, and I was just like, man, I'm so glad I'm fucking done, but like this is gonna be dope, and this
Yeah.
show comes out. So then show comes out like, a year later or something. And I'll never forget, dude, I'm laying on my bed with my laptop on my belly. And I'm just like, this is gonna be sick, dude. And like watching it. And it's like the opening I think it's the exact opening shot. And it's this drone shot. And I'm like, oh, they did it, man. And like a half of a second. And then it's just Mindhunter. Takes up the entire screen. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, it's gonna go away, and it like stays for like the whole shot.
Yeah.
And then like the drone shot's done, it just cuts to the ground, and I closed my laptop and just threw it across the room.
Oh, man.
and just paced around my tiny little closet room that I was in. I was like, this is fucking. I was so mad. I was like, dude, holy. And I guess I'm like the extra who was
Yeah.
like, I worked for 4 days and I didn't see it. I was just like, I cannot believe this is fucking crazy. That was like the opposite, where you're just like, I cannot believe all this hard work went to that. Like this piece of shit.
Dude, and that's my favorite Cody Walsh energy though, is like whenever like the chips are down and then you're trying to get the situation to work and then you're like, fuck dude, it's fucked. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, this show's over. It's fucked, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to get better. I've tried to work on that, I think.
Yeah.
I never think it's like bad.
I
think it's
really
entertaining.
don't mean to make fun, but it's
Oh,
just
it's
like,
funny.
dude, in the moment, like when tensions are so high, it's like, I need that laughter because it's just like, dude, it's like everything else is in that situation's fucked. Like,
Oh yeah.
like, dude, you bring such a laughter energy to set that's so valuable.
I appreciate. Yeah, you need the jesters on set, man.
Yeah.
To really.
to survive it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, if you don't have that, it's because it can get miserable sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And if you can't,
If you can't
enjoy
laugh
it, if
about
you can't
it.
laugh about it, it's gonna make that day even long.
Yeah.
Again, we're playing make believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You can't,
exactly.
you
No,
can't
that's a-
laugh
yeah.
at the stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
What are
and
you
that
doing?
keeps it in good perspective. Like, obviously, you want to do a good job. You want to take it seriously, but not take it too seriously.
Not take it so
Like,
seriously
Yeah.
that it
That-
fucks up your life.
Yeah.
like,
yeah, it's like we're not surgeons. We're not in fucking Vietnam. Like,
Yeah.
relax.
Yeah, like yes, yeah.
Everybody
Keep that perspective. Yeah,
chill out for a second. People act like not making the day is the biggest end of the world thing ever. And it's like, yeah, I mean, we're wasting thousands of dollars if you don't make a day. But like, if it's about like something dangerous or I don't know, just like use your head a little bit.
yeah.
But like you saying that kind of reminded me of like Randy Smith said something one time where he was like, I was like, we're doing somebody's P4 or something. And I was like annoyed at something and like bummed out. But I was like cracking jokes about some stupid shit. And Randy was like, I thought I had like pissed him off
Yeah.
about something. I was like, oh, and we're like eating lunch. And Randy's like, dude, like the biggest thing is you just need to be able, you need to be likable enough to be around for 12 hours. Because I think it's almost more important than being good at your job. I'm like, that's a really good point, Randy.
That is a good point. That is a good, that is like a fact of life right there.
Yeah.
You write that
Applies
one
to
down.
probably any industry. Yeah.
You just need to be just likable enough for 12 hours.
There you go. See, we got philosophy in there. You're not worried about it.
Yeah, and it really does, because I've noticed that he told me this when I was like 19 or something, right?
Yeah.
And I still think about it now, and I'm like, yeah, there's like some people that I in our direct department who I'm like, man, they might not know as much as some of the other people, but like I'd rather do some task with them because I know that like they're gonna have a good attitude about stuff. They're gonna like make it fun. They're not gonna be freaking out about shit. And then in addition, I think another great quality to have is if you don't know something, just like own up to it.
Own up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yo, I don't know how to do this. Like, how do you do this? Like, the amount of times I've had to, like, someone's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And then they totally fuck it up. I'm like, dog, just tell me.
Yeah.
It takes 30 seconds to explain something.
There's
like,
faking it till you making it, and then there's just like
Lying.
getting it right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one, it's we've all had the thing like where you're on your first big set, and you're like, someone's like, hey, grab this thing, and you're like, oh fuck. Yeah, being likable, being honest, not
As honest as you can be.
Yeah.
right, because like we've all been there where you're just like, yeah, I know what that is, and you're like googling, you're like, please fucking, why don't I have service? Oh shit,
Yeah.
like, and you're like, oh, what could a Siamese be? Like, I don't know what the hell that is. I'm like, oh, these are
This
kind of,
fucking guy made that up.
yeah, like these are two of the same. Oh yeah, Dolly key, Dolly juice,
Cheese curler.
dude. Yeah, dude. Dolly key is a great one.
Dolly key is a great one.
The Dolly juice, the cable stretcher, that's good.
The grip
That
truck
is true how
lubricant.
like sets have their own code. There's that own lingo that if you don't, which I know very little.
It's so malleable. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And it's so fun when like these, because it's usually regional. So we'll have
The LA crews coming into town.
yeah, well, even the New York guys. Like when I was working up at BLG, I would look at the beadboard holder and I'd be like, oh yeah, Onky Bonks, and they're like, what? Why do you call my? Oh, well, I've heard that it's called that because when you open it, it sounds like it goes
Onky bonk.
onk bonk, and they're like, so is this like a you thing or is this a Pittsburgh thing? I'm
And then
like,
there's duckbill. There's like a million terms.
sure,
for-
yeah. So I love, it's always fun when you have some out of town guys say that. Like very recently, my buddy Tom, he just moved to LA. He's been working with our crew for like 6 years or something.
Yeah.
And there's these little things that you use. We call them Johnny Rockets. I've only ever heard them called Johnny Rockets, but they're like a little piece of plastic with an adhesive on the back, and you like stick it on something, and it has space for a zip tie.
Yeah.
So we'll do that, and it's like if you're running a cable or something, so you can like route cable.
Yeah. Keep it simple and easy.
Doesn't really hold a lot, but you can also screw through it. So it's pretty nice. They're super, super versatile. We use them all the time. It like 10 times a day. And so Tom just moved out to LA. He was on his like second or third job or something with these people, and he knew the Gaffer because he'd done a show or two here. So he's like, yeah, this is great. I'm working with these guys. And Tom's like, hey, you guys got any Johnny Rockets? And they're all like, what? He's like, yeah, the Johnny Rockets. And they're like,
the hamburgers.
What are you talking about? So he like
give me some food.
Which in retrospect, like Johnny Rocket is such a ridiculous name.
It is.
So he texts me and he's like, yo, dude, what are Johnny Rockets actually called? I'm like, what? He's like, oh, dude, what are they actually? I'm like, I have no fucking clue, actually. I like, even when I buy them at Home Depot, I just know exactly what aisle they're in. So I don't even think, I don't have to ask people this. Like, I don't know. Like, zip tie adhesive back 3M holder? I don't know. And so he's like joking. He's like, man, I'm just so worried these guys are going to start, like, that's going to be my nickname here in LA. Be like, yo, Johnny Rocket. Hey, fucking Johnny
JR's
Rocket.
back there.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Like, that's a term that we use like all the time here, and they're all just like, this fucking guy. Who is this guy? It's like, damn, man.
Coming in here with weird ass Pittsburgh terms.
Doing this for 6 years, and
We're coming here for 20 years.
Yeah, crazy shit. We have way too much lingo.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for coming on, dude. I can't
Yes.
tell you how much I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you just even making the trip and just
Yeah, for sure.
sharing an hour with us. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm glad.
Anytime I can get a Cody Walsh story is like a glorious endeavor. But to share it with our audience and the world out there,
Sure, yeah.
another level.
Yeah, man. We've had a lot of stories happen to us.
It's the truth.
It's our job to share them. To be the conduit. Hell yeah. Bonk bonk. And they're like